Super Rescue. On the island of Sodor, steam engines and diesel engines sometimes work together, and sometimes steam engines and diesel engines don't like to work with each other. Some diesels think steamies are stinky, and some steamies think diesels are dirty. But steam or diesel, they are all still engines. One evening, Diesel and Mavis had brought heavy cars of stone and slate to Knapford Station. It was getting dark, so they decided to sleep close by at Tidmouth Sheds. The other engines were happy to lend some spots, except for James.
Why does Diesel have to sleep here with us? He's all old and oily, much too dirty for my paintwork.
Diesel snapped and snarled. You steamies always think diesels are dirty and steamies are special. We're more useful than you'll ever be.
Calm down, Diesel. This isn't your railway or their railway. It's a railway for all really useful engines.
Harry and Bert would agree with me. They say stinky steamies like them spoil our lovely image. James laughed at this.
We spoil your image? Your image is spoiled already. Engines like you can't even heave and haul joby logs without losing them. Wind, snow, rain, or shine, steamies get the job done and never have such silly accidents.
Just then, Diesel felt devious. Steamies are always getting up to jokes and japes. A certain bright pink engine would know that quite well. James wheezed angrily. Diesel revved loudly, and Mavis's horn was loudest of them all.
Please stop, both of you.
The other engines laughed and laughed. James and Diesel gulped and gasped. Then they both went silently to sleep. The next day, Mavis was a very busy Diesel. She had lots to do, biffing and bashing empty slate cars under the hopper and pulling them along the line. Soon, her cheeks were as red as James's paintwork, but she still rattled and rolled on. Later, at a junction, she finally stopped to ease her axles when the signal turned red. Toby was waiting there too. Goodness me, Mavis, you look very tired.
I am, Toby. The quarry's never been so busy.
Toby thought for a moment. I know. Why don't I take your cars for you? I'm on my way back to Arlesdale End anyhow.
No thank you, Toby. This is my last job for a while. I'll soon get a rest.
Toby rang his bell farewell and left as the signal turned green. Mavis tried to move forward too, but she couldn't. Her wheels wouldn't budge.
Trembling tracks. All that rushing around? Oh, I must have forgotten to fill up on diesel fuel.
Mavis's driver went to the signal box to call for help. At Maithwaite Station, Diesel was picking up milk wagons when a workman ran up.
Mavis has broken down further back down the line. You must help her to the nearest fueling stop.
Diesel grumped and groaned. But sir, this milk delivery is urgent. I'll be late if I leave it on a siding to help Mavis to the steamworks.
Then you'll have to take those wagons with you.
Diesel didn't want to shun Mavis to the steamworks and haul his train at the same time. But he knew Mavis needed help. And if James heard about him helping, he would see that diesels are more useful than steamies. Yes, sir. Diesel clattered on back down the line. Sure enough, he found Mavis stuck and sad at the junction.
Hello, Diesel. I suppose you've come to take me to the steamworks?
Yes, I have. Don't worry, Mavis. A diesel like me is sure to help you out. Mavis chuckled and chortled quietly as Diesel rolled onto her line. With a grunt and a growl, Diesel set off for the steamworks. Diesel had to tug hard. He was red in the face, but soon he oiled along at quite a perfect pace.
I'll show that James that diesels are strong. He'll wobble and wheesh when he sees that he's wrong.
Then there was trouble. Up ahead, at another junction, some points had stopped working. Diesel saw this and applied his brakes to stop, but his heavy load pushed him on and on.
Oh me!
Oh my!
Oh help!
With a jolt and a judder, Diesel slid into the siding and bashed through the buffers. Now both Diesels were stuck.
Rattling rods! Now what do we do?
Phone for another engine, no doubt.
Mavis sighed, and Diesel was cross. At the shunting yards, James was shunting and shoving some empty freight cars. They were to go to Brendam docks to be loaded. Just then, Sir Topham had arrived on Thomas.
James, Mavis has run out of diesel fuel at a junction. Diesel was called to take her to the steamworks, but now he's been derailed. You must pull both of them back on the tracks and straight to the steamworks and deliver their trains too.
James was delighted,
Yes, sir. I will be there right away.
and James chuffed off as fast as his pistons could pump.
Shouldn't you leave your cars here, James?
But James was too far away to hear. Soon, James was out on the main line.
Silly old Diesel. Now look who's won. I'll puff and I'll puff till these jobs are all done.
At the junction, Mavis and Diesel were still waiting. Then, from behind, they heard a whistle. Mavis gasped.
It's James.
Diesel groaned.
It's James.
Then there was trouble. With cars right in front of him, James couldn't see where he was going. He clickety-clacked around a bend and straight into the back of Mavis's cars. Mavis bumped, Diesel bashed, and James's freight cars crashed and smashed to the ground. James was surprised.
Fenders and fireboxes. This is a disaster. I've ruined my freight cars. I'm going to be late. And now Mavis and Diesel will be too. I thought Diesel's made silly mistakes. And now I've made the silliest mistake on Sodor.
James now knew what he had to do.
Mavis, Diesel, wait here while I fetch Rocky. I must put this right.
Soon, James collected Rocky from the Sodor Search and Rescue Center. Together they raced and roared back to the junction. Soon, they lifted Mavis, Diesel, and all the freight cars back onto the tracks.
Thanks for the help, James.
You're welcome, Mavis. But I still have to get these trains delivered. And you and Diesel to the steamworks.
So James was coupled to Diesel, and very carefully, he steamed away. It was hard work. There were 3 heavy trains, 2 broken engines, and only 1 engine to haul them all. But James pulled through. He delivered Mavis's slate cars and Diesel's milk wagons right on time. Diesel said nothing. He was quite puzzled indeed. Soon they arrived at the steamworks. James still felt rather silly.
I'm sorry, Mavis. And I'm sorry to you too, Diesel. I see now that all diesels are just as useful as steamies. And that even steamies can be silly.
Mavis beamed.
That's quite all right, James. I'm glad you agree. What about you, Diesel?
Diesel was still puzzled, but he did let out a little smile, and that was enough for James to smile too.